G'day all. Our next piece of work that we're going to be looking at is based on an artist called ROA, R-O-A, and you can Google him and look him up. So what you're going to be doing is using a number of mediums, so that's what you use to create your work, to make something a little like this. The products you're going to be using are a language verdigris, and you paint your cardboard black, then you put your silver greeny color on, and then you put your brown on, and then you stick your animal on, and then you have to have your skeletal element. So again, you're going to paste cardboard. That's all it is just cardboard together. You're going to have a few layers of that. You're going to paint it black with a special medium. You can add the brown if you want. You can add the green. You can see how you can add the green, some of the ideas. You're going to do a line drawing of an animal. You need to have a 3D element. So these are 3D, and this is made out of Magi Clay to attach to your work. So what you're going to be doing initially is you're going to be collecting artwork based on ROA. And then you're going to choose an animal that you could possibly do for your piece. And then you're going to create a line drawing on doing that. Now in the video that you've just seen, I've used pencil, I've used pencil, but I've thought about my quality of my line work. I've used a fine liner, I used a marker, and I've used hatching and mark making to create my piece. So you're also going to do the same. And I would suggest you do your work approximately A4 so that you can manage your piece and the sizing of it doesn't get too big, and then you can have a play at doing your line work. So this piece here is collecting pictures based on ROA. This is doing mark making, so to experiment with how the lines are going to go. And this is trialing different ways of putting the piece together. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the element of art line while I'm drawing this picture of a bat, and I'll refer to that in a minute. So line is the basis of art and expression, no matter what the medium. Lines are created when one point connects to another. Think about how a musician follows the lines and creates them using notes played for different lengths of time. Or think about the way a dancer gestures creates an invisible line through space around them that you can follow. Line is a path created when an object moves from one point to another. Lines are made when you draw paint marks on paper or canvas or wood or any of those types of mediums. Lines are also made by photographers or filmmakers. They might not actually draw a line for you, but the angle that they shoot from, the way they direct your eye to compose a shot are also examples of the element of line. Lines can be horizontal, vertical, diagonal, straight, all sorts of different lines. Dashed, rough, smooth. Now let's talk about the mood in an artwork and how that is expressed through line. Paintings can have sharp lines, which are soft, smooth or rough. Do the lines in the composition draw your eye to a specific part of the painting? Do some lines contribute to the feelings or actions or stillness in the painting? All of these lines, with their particular characteristics, help express the mood that is expressed in the piece. And that's actually something I'd like you to consider when you're doing your work. So the first part of the sketch that you've seen me do so far, I've drawn with a pencil. Nothing detailed, nothing exciting, just a straight outline using a HB pencil. What you see me doing now is drawing with a pencil again, just a HB pencil, but what I'm doing is I'm focusing on the quality of the lines. I have my words of wisdom that I say repeatedly, light to dark and thick to thin. So when I sketch my line, I consider the quality of that line, which is also called contour lines. Lines can help forms and structures feel dense. So with the weight of the line and the quality of a line that I'm drawing, it can help with its weight. Lines can also make things look delicate. You can also have a combination of positive and negative shapes that you can draw with your lines. While the video is playing, I'm actually going to talk about some artists and their line work. For example, the piece you're going to see flash up is done by Rembrandt, and it's called Beggar with the wooden leg. Rembrandt is a famous Dutch artist that lived 400 years ago. He's used delicate lines to convey emotional depth in the work, captures an essence of the human subject. He's got parallel lines and cross-hatched lines. The next piece is done by Vincent van Gogh, called The Vase with Pink Roses. Van Gogh was a Dutch Impressionist painter, and you can see his lines are dramatic lines with an intense use of colour to convey emotion. They're swirling thick lines to relay that kind of emotion. The next piece you're looking at is by Pablo Picasso. It's called The Youth Circle, painted in 1961. Picasso was a Spanish artist best known for his cubism. In this work, he uses simplicity of the line to convey a sense of joy and emotion. Soft curved lines capture the emotion with minimal detail. So in my drawing now, I am using a Artliner 0.06, and here I'm using the same sort of line drawings, my light to dark, my thick to thin, and the contour lines. But you'll notice one of the things I'm focusing on is a light source. So if my light source is shining from the top of my bat, a little on the right, the lines that are closest to that light source are lighter, and then as they become in shadow, they become a little bit darker and thicker. One of the things I have written on the note here is a suggested line. I can't read it now. I'll have to have a look. So what that is the line goes up close to the subject, but it doesn't actually touch. Now, you don't need all the lines to touch because the human eye will put those lines together. So that's something that you could think about having a go at, just giving some of the information without all the information. Okay, another artist is Alexander Calder, and the piece that I'm showing you is called The Nude and Bone. He's an American artist, and he often uses bold black lines that are applied with clear intent. Not soft, not swirling, but clear and defined. So your line work will be very obvious to people in the piece that you're doing. Oh, see the suggested line? See how it didn't go the whole way down? There's suggested, and then the one underneath is darker. So that helps. See, a darker one gives a little bit of sense of depth, and then we're going to have a lighter suggested line that comes over the top. Now in this section of the bat, what I'm going to do is do a little bit of mark making. So dots and dashes and tonal work so that I create a sense of depth. Now, because I'm doing the bat, I have quite a dark sort of mood in that wing. And you'll see I'll divide it up into, I think, 4 sections. The one with the pencil, the one with the fine line, the pencil with a little bit of tone, the fine liner that I had a go at doing down the bottom of his foot, and then I've used the 0.6 marker, and then this 4th section where I've put mark making to do that. So when I've had a look at works by students, a lot of the time at this level, I'm getting that sort of pencil drawing on the left, and that has a place. But what I really want you to do is work as if you're working on the right hand side, which is what I'm currently working on now. And that depth, that intention, the suggested lines, the mark making, and having a sense of tone and weight in your work is where I want to go. Now, when you're going to do this ROA piece, you don't have to do the whole thing in a skeleton. You can make the animal more, see more of its texture and its the reality of what it looks like in real life if you wish. But you do have to leave an element of your piece so that you can construct bones made out of putty clay. And then we'll just paste them on. It's really nice and quite nice and soft to manipulate. So again, thinking about the animal that you're going to use, the line work that you're going to use, preferably the line work that I'm using now in my drawing, adding a bone element. Now the size of your work, I think A4 is probably the minimum size that you'd go, and A3 is probably the maximum size that you could go. When you glue these, draw these and glue these down, you've got to be careful as well because you actually have to cut all this out. So think about how delicate your work is, and you can't put too much glue on the back because it'll become more of a wet medium and it could make your fine liner run. Can you add color? Yes, you can. I have had students add color. Can you add a 3D element? You can also do that as well. So the example I had before, I think there was a stick in the bottom of that where the owl was holding at its feet. So you could do that if you wish. So for the moment, it's an animal, A3 or A4. Try and get a heavier weighted paper, thinking about the quality of your line work and keeping in mind that you do have to have a structural element of the bones.